give them a warm welcome back to the stage. Yes. And then Terry, are you popping up here as well?
Where they want to go. So what we've asked is for 2 of our luminaries that run here. So I participate. They facilitate. They're experts. I'm just the eye candy, obviously, at the group. So anyway, I asked them to come up and just kind of talk about the peer groups. What do they get? What do they give? Why should someone come? What's the importance of it? Walk us through it.
Yeah, so I kind of approach our peer groups. I think back when I was a kid, right, and had to go to church, right? Mom and dad's like, got to go to church, and so I started telling myself, all right, if I got to go, I might as well look to get something out of it, right? So I kind of approach the peer groups the same way, even though I may be helping Terry facilitate it or whatnot. I approach that. And I want to try to get something that's going to be beneficial to me either personally or professionally. And I can tell you, I know for us, we've been very successful. We're doing really well. But, man, we've gotten so much, especially here recently, security. Man, security's huge. And it was something that Nitor wasn't strong at. And so just listening to some of the other folks, it's been awesome. So,
I would say that the peer group's probably similar to anything else that shows up on your calendar, right? It's just one more obligation in the middle of my day. That when I first started approaching it, that's sort of how it was. But I also remember that when we started with Marketopia, that I re-humbled myself through the lens of what I have defined as the characteristics of success for the engineering side of our business, which is know what you don't know and know when to ask for help, and then be willing to do it. And so when we sort of bit off this animal of changing our sales arm, which the Marketopia peer group is, it was re-humbling myself back to those roots too. I mean, I had a process that worked. We had a system that was functioning and producing results, but I was bolting on this extra piece to the engine that it was really diving into it, right? Show up, show up, but do more than show up to be engaged. I've never claimed to be the smartest guy in the room. I was never the smartest engineer. It's one of the reasons I switched over to sales. That stuff didn't come easy to me. I just knew what I didn't know, and I knew how to ask for help, and I was lucky enough to have mentors that put their time and invested in me, gave me opportunities I didn't deserve, but I didn't let them down. That's really what the peer groups are for me, is getting back in the room with people that get it, the people that understand it, that for the most part, at least this peer group, they're growth-minded, which are the type of people I want to spend my time around, because that's the energy that fuels you for where we're trying to go.
Yeah. It's funny when I watch you guys work in the peer groups, and they don't get paid to do it. They do it to make a difference and to help people. And one of the things that I see a lot of resellers do when it comes to sales and marketing is to basically give up. It didn't work. Oh, it's not what I thought it was going to be. It's harder than I thought it was. This isn't going to work. And you guys kind of talk them off the ledge and help them get back to their root cause issue, whatever it is. They're not doing enough of something, you're doing too much of another thing. But when you guys do that, I see sort of inspiration. It's almost like, well, it's not just, Ileana telling me I need to do it. This is a guy who did it, and look what happened to him. Now he's closing $30,000 a month in net new RMR. And it's almost like I don't know, it's inspirational thought leadership. So I'm in those meetings and I'm inspired by you guys, not just by what you achieve, but by the difference that you make. You're able to touch a lot of people. And part of the challenge that Marketopia has in general is that everyone wants to try it before they go all in, just sort of nibble a little bit and see if it works and then go in. And the downside of that, of course, is when you do anything halfway or a quarter way or a tenth of the way, it's never going to have the result you want it to. And these guys just kind of inspire people to finish it and go in and get it done. And you see it. You see it in results that people are having in your groups. And I think it's inspirational to watch personally.
Yeah. I would say that I'm living proof to that piece of it, because Chad facilitates the other group. There's two of them, which means I was never exposed to him until I came to my first in-person, which was, 4 months into our relationship with Marketopia. And I happened to be sitting next to him, and the topic of sales doesn't really get addressed much. Not so much. I mean, it does, but there's fewer people that lead that area, so there's less to contribute at times. And the first time it came up, you know, Chad's sitting next to me, and I hear him talk about it, and then he talked about what he's doing with Marketopia and how. And I'm sitting there next to a guy who has 3 full-time callers getting 30-plus leads a month, and I'm like, holy, all right, how do I get that, right? I had 1. So my numbers were less, but I was also committed to less and paying for less at the time. And I don't know, 6 months later, it's like, holy crap, this is what it feels like to be Chad. Just because, like, there are times at which where it's like, I think of it through the lens of that 4-minute mile concept, right? Someone's got to be the first one to break it. Someone's got to be the first one to do it. Someone has to make it believable. And until it is believable, you really don't get past that commitment side of it. You might want to do it, but are you truly committed to doing it? And so I knew as I continued to add callers and I increased the numbers to get more results that there's someone else doing it. Granted, you know, the secret is always in the execution, so I have to figure out how to execute, but the path has at least been paved, and all I have to do is follow the clues that success was leaving.
I think I appreciate all the kind words, but I can talk about a lot of these things because we've probably failed at it in some shape, form, or fashion to begin with. And I think the neat thing about the peer groups, you know, whether it's in our biweekly Zooms or on sites, is you know, it is a chance to be real. It's a chance to be fully transparent. Nobody's judging anybody, right? I mean, one guy may do 1 million, one guy may do 10 million. And it's a good place to start, but everybody's transparent and willing to share and willing to just be real. And I, you know, Andrew was touching on it earlier, you know, we're ourselves. I promise you, I don't normally have a button-up shirt on. They can tell you, I normally have a hat on, a T-shirt, and I probably have a dip in. Just being honest with you, right? In our peer group, in our videos. But again, it is a chance to be real and share our successes and share our failures too. So.
We have one of the next speakers is Arlen Sorensen, which is sort of like, in my mind, sort of the godfather of the IT peer group. We believe in them immensely. We are huge supporters of Evolve, huge supporters of Arlen. We just do sales, right? So we'll hear talk about marketing because obviously that's sort of the common ground that got us to the table. But almost everything we do is sales related. And anyway, so we kind of complement that. And how they do it is bi-weekly. Actually, it's twice a month. It's not bi-weekly. It's twice a month, remote, and then 1 time a quarter is on site. And we traditionally go to Florida. This time of year, people seem to want to come to Florida for some reason. And most of them stay at the beach. And some of them stay kind of really right next to the office, which is about 10 minutes from the beach. But anyway, just kind of wanted to share with that. It doesn't, you know, we believe in having peer groups. We love people helping other people. When a salesperson's telling you to buy a tool or a technology or join something or buy something, it's one thing. But when one of your peers that is sharing their experience with it, it kind of changes the dynamic. So we believe in having, frankly, Evolve peer groups for operations. They're really good at accountability for KPIs and metrics and that type of thing. And then Marketopia just complements that with a sales-focused version. So I just want to kind of clarify that. But
no, the only last thing there is, I mean, we're all in the same industry for the most part in this room, right? And for the most part, at least I can speak for myself, I've never felt like in the other business world, anyone ever understood what we actually did as an MSP. So from a vendor perspective, and Andre talked about it with like choosing your partners that are partner driven, that was really the reason that we ended up with Marketopia for what we needed them for, because I didn't want to ask another company who doesn't understand what I do, doesn't understand my language, and can't convey that, and I don't want to train them, to then go out and call people on my behalf to ask them to come let me do, you know, what we do for them. That same lens that bound us in regards to that, and the common language is also then what we get in the peer groups, right? That the challenges I'm trying to solve, maybe Chad has solved them, maybe he hasn't, but there's like 50 other people in the room that have solved it, or are at least further down the path than I am, and willing to learn, willing to grow, willing to share. For the most part, we're dispersed to where we're not competing and those things, but even if we are, it's still we're all still trying to solve the same problems.
Any questions?
Any questions?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, thanks for everything that you're sharing again. In regards to the Marketopia group, are there any prerequisites to join? And let's say you're a Marketopia customer, is that all it requires?
We've given it to a lot of Marketopia clients, so there's a good chance that you've been given it to. We actually started it for free. We don't even charge customers for it. Some people, newer customers, pay for it, but we just grandfathered in all of our old customers because honestly, we see them making a difference. You know, what these guys share really motivates and inspires people to fix whatever remains. Marketopia creates problems, right? You solve one problem, you figure out the next problem. They're helping fix the next problem. You know, you solve lead gen, you realize you have a sales challenge. Now you fix that, and that's what they really work on there. But anyway, you're welcome to come. I think we have free periods till the end of the year, so you can try it with you, and if you like it, you can stay aboard. We'd certainly love to have you. And then you don't have to be a Marketopia client to be on the peer group. You can pay a little bit of money and join the peer group as well, but I don't think anyone in there is not a Marketopia client. So, anything else?
Quick testimonial on the peer group. I've been to the peer group with these gentlemen, and I gained so much insight into where I want to go. I appreciate both of you guys and what you share in the group each time.
Oh, you bet. That's our resident sponge. Go look at his notebook over there. He's probably already got 17 pages just from this morning.
The most important part, though, is he executes too, right? I mean, he doesn't soak it up and then hope that it works. He's out there taking the licks and learning and growing. I mean, you're the best student, like we are too, right? That you could possibly be, because until you go out and try, I mean, I expect to fail until we don't, right? We'll win in the end, but.
Yes, Ron is one specifically circling back to the sales process that we spoke about earlier. I mean, he eats, sleeps, breathes the process, and he knows when he misses a step, he's been losing, right? And so he'll tell you, he drinks the Kool-Aid and follows it step by step, and I think you've seen more success as you kind of just stayed right in that pocket, right?
Everything ties in with the sales training that we do. So they watch the same training videos, and then we talk about it and kind of go deeper and then apply it in each of our businesses. So it all centers around sort of a constant improvement in different aspects of the sales process, sales cycle. So anyway, it's really cool. It's a very common ground, common theme, and I think we have fun too. It's cool. The on-sites are really fun. I tend to drink too much.
Yeah, we have a blast of those. Maybe a little too much.
All right.
One of the things Terry said, last thing I'll say about that Marketopia called creates problems. You've got to understand that every solution creates additional problems. And if you're not approaching your sales methodology through the lens of by the one thing you solved, what's the next thing down the line, there's usually at least 3 more things you can identify as the problems you've now created. You've got to go into your sales mindset anticipating those and solving them in your prospect's mind before you get to that part too. And that little anticipation of understanding what problem your solution creates is a huge asset from our side of things.
Yeah, and just to wrap up, Terry just touched on, when we go into our peer groups, there are usually 1 or 2 trainings that are kind of prerequisites, items that we're going to discuss. For shameless plug for Marketopia, right? We're all here. Thank you. They provide an immense amount of sales training. And we see that that's the biggest problem in all the peer groups that we have. The biggest problem that MSPs are facing is sales, right, and growing. It's not the engineering part, it's not the delivery, it's selling. And the amount of training that they provide for free, right, as a customer of theirs, and then we all get the opportunity to talk about it, it's great. So we appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you guys very much.
Yeah.
All right.